Sometimes people say soundtrack all the time. I catch myself doing that all the time, but it's the score.
Digital Gramophone makes no sense.
Hey guys, it's John, the Digital Gramophone, back with a video. Just hopefully a quick one here. Just wanted to show some recent pickups, take care of some unfinished business. So I happen to be the winner of Beth's Strange contest, which was pretty cool. And I got the prize in the mail like last week, really quickly. She sent it out really quick. So here it is. It's that Walmart version of Stranger Things 3 soundtrack. I will be opening this. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Would make for a fun listen for sure. And I was really happy to get this. I love the show, and so sorry for the glare on that, but I will be opening this, and we'll get to that. She included a couple of other things. Some knucklehead at some point sent her this as VCLT, and she already had a copy. So I think she had this in store for whoever was going to win the contest. But yeah, you know, the soundtrack to the Never-Ending Story, Japanese press. Really, you know, I'm not a huge soundtracks guy, but there are ones that if I ever came across them, I would totally pick them up, and this is definitely one. This movie's a classic. I mean, it's a classic for people my age. So yeah, I'm stoked to have this. I think it's great. I can't wait for my kids to get old enough to see that movie. And then the last thing she sent me was a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of one. I had commented on a video, a VCLT video, I think it was, of hers, where someone had, I think they sent her this. I could be wrong. It might have been Tavis. I can't remember, but somebody sent her this, and she already had a copy of it. And I commented this, like something along the lines of, this might surprise you, but I actually, you know, blah, 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 would like, you know, more albums by that person or by artists like this person. And it was Whitney Houston. And so she sent me the extra copy of that. I like my pop / R&B divas, you know. I don't think that I show anything that, you know, I have a wide taste or wide range of taste in music. These aren't all the albums by these artists that I own. Just picked one. This is actually a 1989 club edition. I want to pick up those Janet reissues, a few of those reissues. Even little Tay-Tay. I ain't afraid. Nor should you be. I don't have to. Who am I? Eclectic Eric over here? Yeah. You know, so I was happy to add that. I was happy to get that. I've got Whitney too from 1987, so that was good to add to the collection. You know, another note, quick, while we're talking about it, since I mentioned that I'm not a big soundtrack guy, I'm a huge fan of Beth's channel, and just to show you how the VC can rub off on how we, you know, kind of influence each other. She showed, and I wanted to show this. I wanted to do a contest entry for her Halloween in July contest, and I wasn't able to find the time, and I had a really cool idea. But oh well. Maybe for another day. I wanted to talk about these and doing that video. And so now I'll just do it since we're talking about her, and since I just won her contest. She showed this Mondo edition of the soundtrack for Silence of the Lambs. And first of all, one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite films of all time. And it's on this gorgeous, just killer moth colored swirl vinyl. And I don't really go nuts over the colored vinyl. I have a lot of it because mostly new releases, because I pick them up on the day they come out, or I pre-order them. And when I do that, then you get the colored vinyl. And sometimes that can be bad. But man, I saw that and I had to pull the trigger. And they do the packaging right. Just that cool gatefold with like original artwork inspired by the film. I mean, I wasn't even aware of Mondo before that. And then I got on there, and there were probably about 10 to a dozen other ones that I wanted to buy. And I'll probably be revisiting the site at some point in the future for one of those things in particular. But while I was on there, I noticed that they had a Mondo version of the Magnolia soundtrack. And I talked about this soundtrack. It also has the score, which is by John Bryan. And I talked about this soundtrack in a contest for Eric Weinbender. And this is all mostly music by Amy Mann. And the music kind of inspired a bit of the storyline. Magnolia is a Paul Thomas Anderson film. For those of you that aren't aware, it's an epic. It's perfect for a sad bastard like me. Love that movie. So when I saw this, I just had to pick it up. I wasn't even aware. I have it on CD, and I think I showed the CD in the video I did for Eric's contest. I wasn't even aware there was a vinyl, but there's this, blue swirl, light blue swirl, and then the score is on this translucent yellow gold. But yeah, was stoked to find that. And they were actually running a sale at the time, so I got a little bit of a discount. They can run a little bit of cash, but they're worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, there you go. Just a big example of how we kind of influence each other in the VC. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of Beth. I don't know, most people are. I mean, everybody that watches her is. She has a great channel. Just some recent pickups, finds. This is one I've been thoroughly enjoying a lot lately. Otis Rush, I'm Satisfied. This is a reissue. On Wax Time, it's exclusive, limited edition, 500 copies. Really, really enjoying this. I want to be like Jeff Kempen. So, yeah. And then I went to Lunchbox to pick up a couple of new albums. One of them I showed in my last video. which is a stupid video, but I talked about the band The Hold Steady, and this is their new album. So when I picked it up, it's a great album. Listen, I said it in that video, I'm going to say it again. If you aren't aware of The Hold Steady and you don't know much about them and you just like rock and roll, please give The Hold Steady a chance. They're a fantastic band. And while I picked that up, I picked up the new Sleater-Kinney. So Richard Riley just talked about this. He had gotten an advanced copy, I think, because it was a Vinyl Me Please edition. So that beat out, I think, the record store releases. This is just a 180 gram black vinyl. I'm a big Sleater-Kinney fan. This album is definitely different. Richard talks about it in a really great way, a perfect description of it. It was produced by Annie Clark and her St. Vincent, and her fingertips are all over this thing. And I commented on his video much in the way that like a producer like Brian Eno's fingerprints are typically all over the albums that he produces, or Daniel Lanois, the albums that he produces, specifically in the 80s and the late 80s. They just have a sound of their own, and that's definitely going on with this. But it still has the essence of Sleater-Kinney, and I feel like, I haven't followed too much of the chatter online, but I'm willing to bet that this is probably a polarizing release for longtime fans. But I love it. I think it's great. And I'll admit, the first listen, I was kind of like, I don't know, but the more I've listened to it, the more I love it, the more I get them out of it. And I just think it's a great album. And, I think it's also probably a signal that they're around to stay, they're not going to go anywhere. Here's some other, these are some used albums that I picked up while in the store. I saw this, and here's another example of how the VC affects you. I saw this album, and I just saw it, and I was like, somebody talked about that. And I can't remember who. I messaged Bill, the Vinyl Verse. I was like, did you talk about this? And he was like, no. And I bet it was, and I said, I bet it was Steve Carlson. And it's Willie Bobo, Dos Tres, off on Verve. And the jacket's kind of beat up. There is a seam split, but the vinyl's in decent shape. And so, especially once I clean it up, it's in pretty good shape. And so yeah, I picked it up. It's kind of Latin Jazz 101. But really good. Got some elements of funk and R&B in there. Really cool stuff. I love that cover. I just love that cover. But yeah, so that was cool. An album that typically, if I came across it, I would probably say, that looks interesting, that looks cool, but I probably wouldn't have picked it up right away. But knowing that somebody had talked about it in a VC video, I picked it up. So basically, the lesson is the VC is really bad for your wallet. Nancy and Lee, on Reprise. It's a stereo. This is a stereo of the year it came out. There's the Mondo, I guess typically it was really the original press, but Love or Please by Clyde McPhatter. I'm a big R&B guy. And then this one. and I've never been able to say the name of this album. And those of you that know about it will know why I'm saying that. But it's the first LP by Godspeed You Black Emperor. Dave at Local Bandography found a copy of this, I think at Tip Top Market, and I commented on it, and I was like, oh man, that's killer. And he was like, you know, and then he messaged me about like a week later that he saw a copy at Lunchbox. And this was a while ago. This was a few weeks, maybe even at least a few weeks, maybe a month. And it was still there. I don't know why, but Godspeed You Black Emperor is a great band. Post-rock, orchestral post-rock. So yeah, that's all I got right now. Would like to do another video on some more 2019 releases that I've picked up over the year, and maybe do some needle drops for those. I'd like to do another artist spotlight. Not as detailed as what I did on Bruce. I'll never be able to do that again. Bruce just makes it too easy. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys are doing well going into your weekend. We were very fortunate here in this part of the state, in North Carolina, to not feel really any effects, aside from some wind yesterday from Dorian, and but I really hope that, you know, everybody else is doing okay. We have some friends and family out on the closer out to the coast in Wilmington and stuff, and so and down in Charleston, South Carolina. So we've been kind of checking up on them, but yeah, fortunate this time. But yeah, with the situation, the devastation of the Bahamas was just unbearable to watch. But anyway, sorry to end on such a sad, dour note. Anyway, be good, guys. Have a good weekend. Been thinking about picking up some meat sticks.